Welcome to Wrestling Talk. It has been a while, but we're going to be speaking real good news and some bad news and stuff like that. But before we enter the WWE, because that's the most talk about,
Of course.
let's just do a couple of updates with the other ones. Impact. Damn, I keep calling him Dolph Ziggler. Anyway,
You will forever be Dolph Ziggler. I don't care
he finally lost the belt.
Finally.
Yeah.
But shout outs for winning it in the first place because they were not letting you win jack in WWE.
Yes.
It was like you left and you definitely found your way.
But he's going for the belt again, so maybe he'll get it back. We don't know. But shout outs to him. You go to AEW, belt has changed 3 times since we've been talking, which is good because you don't really want to stretch it with one champion too long.
WWE does. However, I
like
feel
they don't got nobody else.
I feel like AEW is an organization where you can do that, right?
Right.
We've got a lot of names of note in AEW, a lot of bodies that don't even get TV time. So if you rotate the championship, it allows you to move more storylines, allows you to put more people in the rotation on camera. The best part to AEW, honestly, seems to be the dark matches. That's when you get to see a lot of the faces you normally don't.
Yeah, the YouTube matches.
Exactly.
Too. Oh man.
So organization moving the belt, it makes sense, right? Same thing with Impact, right? With the whole Moose thing and everything, right? Like, especially they're back and forth with NXT right now. Impact is doing a lot better than you would expect, and they've been able to brand themselves as a multi-organizational brand for probably 10 to 15 years now, when they used to do stuff with AAA and Canada and New Japan. So these I hate to say smaller, but not as big as WWE organizations have to find their niche markets. I think Impact's doing a great job through interbranding. I think AEW is trying the best way to utilize their talent because it is that the camera time is right. A lot of these guys are willing to go back to WWE. They're willing to go to Impact, right? Yeah. They go to AEW and you're thinking, they're saying F U WWE. Then they go there and realize it's not as golden as expected. So management there is trying to figure out,
money-wise is good. It's just some of them don't want the money. They want the fame.
They have been wrestlers for 5, 10, 20 years in some cases. They respect the business. They respect the industry. It's a real art form and craft for them. They want to raise the next generation wrestlers. So it's beyond Mark. You have guys like Big Show and Mark Henry who, they don't ever need to go in the ring again, and they're complaining about not getting a chance to wrestle. Even more so than wrestling on camera, wrestling at all. You know what I'm saying? I think also because by going to AEW, there's some beef with WWE and their legacy is there, whatever. But at the end of the day, right, like these guys, their name is forever marked in wrestling. You're going to have wrestlers in every organization mentioned that they were impressed by 2 of the biggest big men to ever do it.
Yeah. But shout out to AEW because who thought they were going to fall down has raised up so much that got WWE scared.
Yeah.
So and that's a good impact to them, but and they're combined with Japan, TNA, all these getting WWE to say, I'm not worried about them, but let me join up this group. Right. I'm not worried about them. Let me get a new channel.
And they're picking up a lot of their talent to put into NXT to teach those guys the WWE way. And as soon as they can, they're bringing them up to the main roster because they realize there's value in these independent wrestlers. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what AEW was when it first started. It had all independent wrestlers. You basically you had a couple of them just for you to go and see.
You have an organization with Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes, both WWE veterans,
and both smart to do it,
right? But they were picking from your Ring of Honor guys, your TNA guys, your leagues you've never heard of guys that were making a name for themselves. That's how
they even came to the Bronx.
Yeah,
they came from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho came in and grabbed a couple of people and some of his Spanish friends, because no matter how white Chris Jericho is with his rock and everything, he loves his Spanish friends, and he bring them in.
But that's the thing. Even without Jericho and Cody even still being there, AEW is still branded as pretty much the number 2, right?
To bypass Impact, TNA, Japan,
right?
Bypass all of them within the years.
It says a lot for whatever right or wrong that they're doing. They've done what they've needed to do to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. And one thing I do got a beef about: dumb wrestler fans. Sorry, stop saying, "Oh my God, they stealing all the people," because WWE. Where do you think all these people came from? places.
Yeah.
If you ever hear that thing, oh yeah, Vince McMahon came to my ECW days, and so everybody goes everywhere. So let's stop that already.
I mean, at the end of the day, you look at any sport, right? And this is sports entertainment,
especially baseball,
right? I know, but I'm just saying, look at any sport, and as sports entertainment, it is a sport, right? And the way that it works is that there's levels, right? Baseball, for example, you go from single A to double A to triple A to majors. When we talk wrestling, it's not exactly done in the same structure. Same with UFC, right? UFC, and funny I mentioned it because of TKO, but UFC is done the same way, right? You start at your other things. There might be an alternative number 2 like AEW to Bellator, but when you're a guy who works your way from FCW to
MMA
to ROH, Ring of Honor is a respectable brand. Don't get me wrong. And NWA is one of the most legendary wrestling leagues in history. But when you go there, make a name for yourself, you're doing that not to be the king of that, but to get noticed by Impact, which is a major internationally televised company, or AEW or WWE. And when we really look at it, you're making your way to Impact and AEW to make it a WWE. You want an independent wrestler, and what's his name? Oh man, I'm always forgetting him. Too Sweet.
Oh, Scott Hall? No, not Scott Hall. Kevin Nash.
No, the other ones.
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash,
and they were in Japan.
Yeah. In Japan.
A1.
Oh shoot. Help us out. Help us out. Yeah, help us out.
And he just came back.
I'm trying to remember his
name.
I
forget. See, I'm terrible with that.
Oh God.
You don't want some. You don't want none.
Yeah.
What the heck?
AJ Styles.
Yes, AJ Styles. Yes. Bro, but he's who I'm talking about. AJ Styles.
They just fired them too.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they kept AJ Styles, but they fired the other two.
They were trying to figure out what to do with them and balance them between.
Now they on. Are they on TNA?
I think they did go to Impact,
right?
From NXT.
I think they went to Impact or something.
But no,
because they were going back and forth anyway.
Yeah, but AJ Styles literally did the gamut, right? He was in Japan. He was on.
Oh my God! Yeah.
He was. I mean, that's really when he became AJ Styles in Japan. But he killed the X Division, right? When he was over at TNA, and that's when TNA was the number 2, but people weren't watching it because it was on a weird cable network. You know what I'm saying? He didn't make it until he was WWE, and I hate to say it like that.
Wasn't he in WCW too?
I think he was in WCW at one point. Maybe it's his early. But what I'm saying is, like, he was, all that work that he put in for over a decade.
To come to WWE.
2 decades was to come to WWE.
Because that was a good run when he first came. He beat some of these big guys.
Well, I mean, even after his major run, and I think did he have a full year as a champion? It was close to a year. Close to a year. He still stayed on the upper card because, I mean, he's just that damn good. He's that notable. But that's WWE looking at talent for a long time. That's WWE, and you think that's the first time they tried to get AJ Styles? No, that was his pride as a wrestler. That was his, support for the fans at the leagues that he was at. But eventually, you chase the money, you chase the cameras, and you chase the notoriety before your career ends, right? You got to stack up before you can no longer fly. And he's already not flying like X Division AJ Styles. You feel me?
And speaking of that, a lot of people was like, but they fired him and he came back. The reason why there's rumors is he's retiring, so he wants to retire at WWE. So this might be his last year or
last run. John Cena and AJ Styles ending around the same time doesn't sound crazy to me, right?
And they pretty much started. Well, no, AJ Styles started before him, but they pretty had the run. It's
around
and
the
everything.
same time. Yeah. Around the same times where they make an entrance. It was just that Cena did it at the WWE level. That's all. That's the only difference there. And that's not to say that AJ Styles hasn't been good enough for WWE. I think that he was the type of wrestler that came out just a little too late for WWE. You remember, there's an entire generation in WWE where cruiserweights really weren't, like, they had to have Rey Mysterio fight for the heavyweight championship because fans loved him that much, but there wasn't a lot of love for cruiserweights in WWE for some time. Yep. Their belt disappeared. It took a while before he got 205.
He's still a cruiserweight.
Exactly. And at the time that, he was an X Division champion, he was a cruiserweight. He was a cruiserweight. He would have been the light heavyweight championship. Like, if AJ Styles came out then, in that part of the Attitude Era, I think he would have had a 35 year WWE career. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who he was. It wasn't the right place for him at the time, and I'm glad we got AJ when we did in that level of notoriety, because someone like him, there are a lot of great wrestlers who've never been, like, Kenny Omega, probably the name of names.
Yeah, that's how
to never be in WWE.
I was just going to talk about him too. He's going for his championship belt again, and he's now back into the mix with the Sting lookalike guy. Whatever.
Oh yeah, Dorsey or whatever.
Yeah. And they going through all the
Darby. There we go.
Darby, yeah. So they're going back with the group, but now they're making him more middle face and heel.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah. So check him out. AEW. You're not gonna feel left out because it is a good wrestling thing. Sometimes they go too much extreme with the story, like it's too long.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about AEW, sometimes even in the match, there's a story, So when they're fighting and stuff like that, you will hear them say some things that you'll be like, why is he saying that?
Right.
But then when you go to like the YouTube page,
there's more
to that.
I mean, the one thing I will say for AEW that they've stepped up is literally just making themselves accessible. So in the last few months, a lot of their catalog has been added to Max. They're now, the episodes will air the day after on Max. I think you can even watch live on Max. I mean, I don't want to put in a shameless plug like that, but the point being is that WWE, even WCW, they made a name for themselves by being marketable on marketable networks. In the age of streaming, as WWE moves to international streaming platforms.
And the only reason why is because AEW did it already.
AEW was already in the works doing it. So you really got to look at the fact that they've branded themselves in such a way to be rivals to WWE that it's impressive, right? And the difference that
sure, when they got their own channel. They have 3 channels.
Right. They have oil money, bro. That's really what it is. They have the money to push themselves ahead of these other brands, and they're doing so. I think that all they're missing to be another major league officially to WWE, and not just a AAA league, is management. You have an owner who's too much of a fan.
Yeah.
Right? He gets too emotionally involved in the wrestlers and the storylines and this. Don't get me wrong. Having someone who loves the business, who knows the business, can be a plus. He's not that person. He's a fan.
That's exactly what we always said. There's a wrestler fan and a wrestling fan. And he's more of like, I would have always loved to see this match and this match together. So, and it doesn't make sense in some of the stories. Lucky Edge, or Carper, and whatever you want to call him now, he when he got there, he said in one of his interviews that some of the stuff he told them, no, I'm not going to do because it doesn't make sense in the story.
Right.
So when you have a wrestler that understands story really makes the match, that's how it's supposed to be. You can't just fight anybody or nilly-willy.
I think that's the thing, right? Knowing that he's such an emotional, volatile person, a lot of wrestlers don't speak. Right? They don't speak with their mind. They take the money. They do what they got to do.
Fear of getting
fired, terminated. And that's the thing. He will keep you on contract, keep the money flowing, and then take you off camera until people forget about you. Take your name off of everything. And
he learned that from Vince.
Right? But we saw that. I mean, we're literally seeing that now with Pentagon's brother.
Oh my God!
Ray Phoenix, right?
Ray Phoenix.
And we're talking about one of the most notable names in luchador history, or modern luchador history, just to be, to not offend anybody.
Now, not to cut you off, but do you think they did that in AEW, give him less time because his brother left to WWE?
Yes, we know for a fact he did. We know for a fact that they took him when his brother was leaving and not renewing his contract. They started to take Ray Phoenix off TV, but they left him in matches. When they heard that Pentagon signed with WWE, everything, Ray Phoenix disappeared because they know if Penta's going, Ray's about to go, because I mean, and like I said, we're talking about that evolution.
Would it be smart to say, "Oh my God, his contract is going to go up. Let me give him something so he can sign a new contract and not go back to WWE." They tried. No, I'm talking about his brother.
No, they tried that with Penta. Penta was good. Yeah. I think at the end of the day,
Penta always wanted to go to WWE. Anyway.
Exactly. You've seen any luchador worth their medal in the modern era looks up to Rey Mysterio in some way, shape, or form.
And who doesn't want to go to WWE because
and especially when he's still there, right? Penta has an opportunity. He made a name for himself in Mexico, right? Worked his way through, I don't know if you remember Lucha Underground, right?
Yep.
To get put onto the whole TNA circuit and all that, to get picked up by the second brand in AEW. And now WWE's just like, you did it, kid. You think he's not taking that chance? He's not going to take that chance to go to WWE.
Lee came from there.
You know what I'm saying? He's not going to take the chance to work with you think right now that he's in WWE, he has not got a chance to meet Rey Mysterio, talk with Rey Mysterio, get advice from Rey Mysterio, and you don't think that he wouldn't want that for his brother? Like, let's be real.
So when his brother comes, it's going to be a big impact.
You know when the Lucha Bros are in WWE.
It's going to change the whole. They need more tag teams anyway in WWE.
Facts.
You got 5 guys fighting each other all.
Facts.
You know. So you know, with that said, AEW is doing good. Storyline, I think it still lacks on their championship storyline because with I'm gonna be calling them by their names. I know.
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Dean Ambrose doing his thing, but it's like the story's all over the place to me.
Like he is because he's crazy. No,
like his character is good, but then he's fighting this one guy. Then this other one group coming. But now he betrayed him by it's like a soap opera. Like
I mean, that's what wrestling is, the best soap opera on TV.
The good thing about it is it gets me upset because I'm like, I have to watch it just to find out. And then I'm like, that's what they're doing. They're making you make sure that if you miss something, you're gonna miss a lot.
Right, because that's the whole thing, right? If you are talking WWE, pretty much from now until WrestleMania, you already know who's going to be attacking who secretly over the next few months. Right? Like, or, you know, at the end of the match, who's going to be attacking who, like, I got you this week, so next week it's going to be the, you know what I'm saying? You can plan it out because on the road to WrestleMania, there are very, like, this month there's this event, this and this event, and then there's a month break where you're watching NXT, and now we got WrestleMania. So we know who's fighting who in about 2-3 months so they can hype up those matches and whatever. But in AEW,
there's no such thing.
There's no such thing. It's a plus and a minus because at the same time, you clearly can tell who in WWE is an upper card, mid card, and lower card guy, right? It's a bit more chaotic in AEW because it's hard to establish those lines, even based on the championships. Yep. Right?
So I was going to say, the only thing that can probably say they high card is the belt.
But I can't even say that because there have been times where you're like, that person's champion? You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be a short run, but you're just like, they let them win it. Like the what's it called? The time Homeboy won the Intercontinental Championship in WWE. He's married to Chelsea Green.
Holy crap.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We can't remember Ryder. Right, Zack Ryder.
Zack Ryder.
Right?
Well, now his name is
I always forget his new name. Yeah. But like when he won the end, you were just like, yay! He lost it like the next week. But he finally did something, and then you realize, oh yeah, he went on massive losing streaks, right? So this lower card guy finally wins the championship. I feel like the same thing happens in AEW all the time, where they're like,
you never know who's gonna, like even when Sting got retired, then all of a sudden he came out to help. I was like wasn't he retired?
Like, what's going on here?
He's like,
one
last thing. So it's like if you didn't see it, you're gonna miss it. So that's the AEW good thing about it. It's like they making you can't miss because now you're not gonna find out was that the real cousin or the cousin that was the brother. You know what I mean? Like,
bro, it truly is. It's Dallas, but with wrestling.
Yes. So you know, if anything, watch it, and you'd be surprised at even Impact. Like I was like, oh, that's where you win. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
hey, I remember there was an era when EC3 and his family were the McMahons essentially, right? At Impact. But I say that if you watch Impact and WWE at the same time, the storylines that they were doing at Impact with EC3, his family, and the wrestlers, 3 weeks later, every time, almost religiously, same storyline pop up on WWE. These other smaller leagues, sometimes ahead of the game, they're willing to go there. WWE has more reputable, so they wait to see how risky or far things will go and stuff like that. But they're watching. They're clearly watching.
Oh, clearly.
Impact, when it comes to storylines, when it comes, maybe you want to rank the level of wrestlers and whatnot, but I will say this, a lot of those Impact guys make their way to WWE somehow, right? All these years, before AEW, so quality of wrestler is not the problem. I don't think it is. But they are very creative storylines in Impact that are a bit more logical than AEW. I will find myself watching Impact before AEW personally.
Yeah, TNA and all that. I was watching the other day Lucha Libre. They gave a little bit on TV. But then I noticed, I'm like, AEW got TBS, got YouTube. It's on Tubi, I think it is, or something like that, one of the two. So, and then I was like, oh, so that's why WWE wants to be on this and this, because AEW already did it. AEW has their little YouTube page where they train these newcomers. Then all of a sudden WWE wants to bring back their old.
Remember that Tough Enough used to be
Tough
big.
Enough, yeah, but now they changed the name.
What is
it's
it?
The same thing.
Rising Star or something like that on A&E Network on Sundays.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Tough Enough. You're just changing your name, and the only reason you're bringing it out because AEW bring it out again.
Well, I mean,
but they're not afraid though.
Well, I actually I know that's part of it, but I think that has to deal more with TKO. So TKO being part with UFC. UFC got a lot of flack at one point for not running the series, the challengers, for not doing their Ultimate Fighter series. So they took a hiatus. I think COVID was part of the reason why. But people want to see people from the ground up. It is easier to make a star when people get to follow them from day one, right? So seeing this brand on their UFC side and then noticing that their enemies are doing it, I think it forces WWE's hand to go back, because that was what NXT used to be, right? Yep. A lot of these unknowns, they even had the Mae Young Classic and stuff like that, right?
Impact was the NXT before
for WWE, essentially. They were their NXT low-key, right? And that's with having, FCW legitimately there, right? And
Tough Enough came out. Miz came from there,
Exactly. So there's a lot of history in your modern day, like, these are definitely Hall of Famers coming from not necessarily a self-imposed youth system, but a televised youth system. There were people like, I've been following you since day one, whatever. And he was a Real World fan or he got on the Real World and was like, I want to be a wrestler, and then ended up on Tough Enough. And Miz is gonna, he's won just about every. I think he actually has.
Yeah, he won
every championship that existed.
And he's what's it called? The ones that win everything, like John Legend, like he won every award.
Oh, like an EGOT.
Yeah. He's basically an EGOT of wrestling.
Of wrestling, yeah.
So but before we go to WWE, I want to shout out Bobby Lashley, Benjamin, and for doing what was supposed to be done on WWE. So they're making a good storyline on AEW, and they bringing back another person. They thinking about throwing in another one just to fight Doherty's group and Dean Ambrose's group. All these groups that are coming in now. You got I don't know if they call themselves the same.
It's the Hurt Business or something.
The Hurt something.
It's the Hurt. Yeah. They kept it because copyright stuff. WWE bought out, knowing that they were all moving to AEW. WWE bought out all the Hurt Business associated with that. So they're the Hurt. I forget what it is. Syndicate.
Syndicate, something like that, right?
Now.
But shout outs, they are doing good.
Honestly, the Hurt Business in WWE was a notable faction in a time where there wasn't a lot able to happen in WWE, right? They're one of the people. We talk about why Roman has such a long reign. We talk about how McIntyre got screwed by COVID. The Hurt Business was a faction that created from a bunch of people that were definitely misused by WWE on the card for a while. Made a name for themselves, definitely impacted storylines in that COVID and the post-COVID era in WWE, and they were completely lost in the sauce after a while. So despite, I love all those wrestlers, a lot of them devoted a lot of their careers to WWE, but they've always been off and on with WWE. These guys are good together.
Oh yeah.
These guys are guys I'm a fan of as wrestlers, even when they're
Especially
heels.
Benjamin been
He is one of the greatest ladder wrestlers of all time, and everybody always talks about Kofi. He was Kofi before Kofi.
Yep.
All right.
Him and Charlie Haas was like one of the biggest tag teams
for a long time.
And it's like what
they were with
underused them.
You know what I'm saying?
Bobby, I don't know. You still don't know how to talk, but hey, you know.
but I mean, Bobby.
But he's way better now as a heel that he is heel.
Right.
Because he was a heel in WWE, but it didn't seem. It seemed like you were more like a corporate type of guy.
There was a time when Bobby Lashley was a face.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Bobby Lashley.
But the Hurt Business is not really a face.
No,
they're not really a heel either. If you think about it,
they're about their business.
That's exactly what they call their business.
And I think that's why he came off very much more corporate because that was the introduction into the Hurt Business. He had to be the suit and tie. They're like, we fight for money. They're the prize fighters who act like actual prize fighters. They're not Kevin Owens, right? It's a complexity that I think comes from the fact that each and every one of them are veterans, right? These guys have all, you know, I think they've been around. Every wrestler in that group has been around at least since Ruthless Aggression. If not, some of them might have entered just at the ending of the Attitude Era, right? And
from the Hurt Business?
Yeah. I think Shelton Benjamin might have been at the end of the Attitude Era, but Bobby Lashley and MVP.
They came out with Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt bring them out.
Exactly.
Then MVP, Bobby Lashley
came at the Ruthless Aggression. So these guys all have at least 20 years in industry. And a lot of that time,
Probably even more because I never followed them before
WWE.
Well, Bobby, I followed him in WCW. Right. I didn't follow him before that, so maybe even before that.
So that's what I'm saying. These guys have at least 20 years in industry. Wow. Right?
I didn't think about it.
At a level as high as WWE, right? You're on the biggest international wrestling promotion in the world, right? Even in your younger days. They definitely understand the business. They definitely understand the in-ring storyline, stuff like that. That I think is a great addition for AEW. But I think personally, in a wild, wild west of a company like AEW, these guys are going to find a way to make themselves very relevant and get the notoriety that was misused at WWE. Don't get me wrong, I am a huge WWE fan. But at the end of the day, I am a wrestling fan. Yep. And I support anybody who's actually been able to do this, stay at a high level, and entertain me for years.
And then, not only that, you know, shout out Benjamin for being one of the stunt fighters, like, you know, the Hardy Boys and all that.
Yes.
And still looking good.
Yeah.
He's bam. I was like, wow.
He didn't suffer. I mean, granted, he wasn't in as many hardcore matches as those guys, but he's definitely a high flyer, been in very dangerous matches, did some very athletic, incredible things, and hasn't suffered as many injuries as the Hardy Boys.
Minor stuff.
Yeah. Just nothing. I mean, he hasn't been taking out the game as long as they have for various reasons from physical injury. I mean, the Hardy Boys is a much more complicated situation. But like, we all know that the guy who get hurt the most is Mankind, and we've seen the reasons as to why. Shelton Benjamin has definitely taken falls, pretty bad falls, and it is not Mankind. You know what I'm saying?
He was pretty up there with taking falls, especially when he did ladder matches.
The ladder match. And I mean, like I said, he was Kofi Kingston before Kofi Kingston. That's why a lot of people sleep on how much respect this man deserves.
And AEW grabbed him and did it.
I hope they do a lot there. I really do.
We're going to take a short break because that was half of our story about wrestling and what's going on. But now we're going to talk about WWE and the storylines and stuff that is going on.
It's Wrestlemania season!
Yes. So we'll be right back.
Greetings to all parents seeking an educational and entertaining show for your child. Look no further as I am delighted to introduce you to Raiden's World. Hosted by the talented Raiden Laloma. This captivating show immerses young viewers in a world of imagination, science, and more, making learning a delightful experience. If you have Roku, simply download the LDM Network channel app or visit www.raidensworld.com for updates, games and more. Also stay updated by following the show on Instagram. Raiden's World is carefully crafted to engage children in a fun and educational manner, fostering their curiosity and love for learning. The show offers a unique blend of entertainment and knowledge. ensuring that your child's educational needs are met while they enjoy the wonders of Raiden's adventures. We invite you to join us on this educational voyage that promises not only to entertain your child but also to expand their horizons. It is the perfect combination of fun and learning, creating a wholesome viewing experience for both children and parents alike. So, why wait any longer? Dive into the world of Raiden's Day and witness the magic unfold before your eyes. Thank you for choosing us to be a part of your child's educational journey.
All right, well, welcome back, and it was great for you guys to watch us and listen to our stories about AEW and Benjamin and all of them. Next time we come, I'm going to remember the name of this Japanese guy that I was watching. Pretty good. And he fought with Io. And he was 2 matches in the underground.
Really?
But he's in Japan now, and he's doing good. They say he's a heavyweight, but I think he's a lucha guy. But I don't remember the name. I'm going to look it up, and we're going to talk about that. Because the next one I want to talk about more of Japan and lucha. Let's bring that out
Triple A
and all that. We're going to talk a little bit about them. We don't know too much, but we'll do some research.
I definitely was looking into a little bit of AAA after I found out some stuff going on with some past WWE guys. But like he said, that'll be next time.
Yeah. And now Lucha Underground is still online, so you check them out. You see Io Sky fighting Dragon Lee, and Io Sky is crazy in those matches when I used to watch them. So just check them out. But let's go to the WrestleMania turnout. It's going to be crazy. We just had a crazy event in Canada, which Canada booed us, but
I mean, you gotta understand.
But
the terrorists.
but everybody thought it was because of that, and it winds up to be is because we beat them in the sports.
Oh yeah, you forgot about that in hockey.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was all had to do with the president.
Nah. So hockey is Canada's. I mean, shout out to Shorzy, bro, the great show.
Yes. This guy, what's his the announcer's name?
Cole?
The one that flips the pencil. What's his name?
Pat
McAfee.
Yeah.
Yo, he was pissed. If you watch the pay-per-view, he didn't speak as much as he was doing.
Nah.
And when he did speak, he said, "Oh, just like they booed us, right?" Like he was that, and that was not fake. He was really upset about it.
Because I mean, first off, it's been really big. It's been really big that WWE is bringing these live pay-per-view events to various countries. It's not just Canada, right?
Yeah, right.
And they would, because you have wrestlers, a lot of Canadian wrestlers in WWE's history, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were just talking about Edge and Christian. Trish Stratus, oh my God, still fun.
Yep.
All the freaking hearts, right? So I'm just saying, like, there's a big connection with Canadian wrestling and WWE. Bro, this is a wrestling event. This has nothing to do with that. We're not even talking politics.
That's why I got pissed. I thought they were talking politics. I'm like, what the politics? And I found out later on it was because we beat them.
But like I've said before, that this is a sport.
Yes.
This is a sporting event. It's sports entertainment, but it's a sport. And when it comes, and I'm sorry, the recent battle that we had wasn't just like, Olympics, whatever. Or it was hockey. Right. It was
But to boo on the American anthem was wrong. That was wrong.
No, it wasn't.
No, don't be booing out my stuff.
Canadians lost. Do you know that Americans did the same thing when Toronto won the NBA Finals? They were like, how does Toronto win an American championship in an American sport? You get what I'm saying? So you gotta look at the end of the day, it's sports, right? And people are very, very passionate about their sports. Oh, yeah. For America, we have stuff like football, basketball. Canada's sport is hockey. The Winter Game stuff. So when you lose, I was like, I don't want to hear this. I had to hear that when we took that F. Come on now. Yeah. Come on. But what I will say is, it is sports. And Pat McAfee, he loves his sports.
Remember, he's a football.
But across the board, whatever he he's into, he's very passionate about. That's why he was able to make a career out of just talking about sports. And they put him on everything. You know, he's in wrestling, right? He plays football. He has a podcast, but he comments on everything else that he follows, and people respect it because he's a real fan.
Yeah, and he still don't like Michael Cole. But
I mean, Michael Cole.
It was funny. See, again, if you're just watching wrestling, but I really listen to the words they say.
Yeah.
He came out and he did a video with Michael Cole. He was like, and he put his podcast that he was talking about Michael Cole. And he said, "Yeah, I never liked him. You know, now I tolerate him. Meaning he still don't like him. And this is real life stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Who likes him anyway? After he made comments about he made wrestlers, no one liked him ever since. But and they tried to get him to get liked again. If you notice, some of the wrestlers go up to him and give him a pound now, trying to get him back to the fans' grace.
Right.
But it's not working. Fans are still not grabbing to him no more.
I think if anyone remembers the beginning of Michael Cole's career, he was always a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And regardless of that being part of the bit, the gimmick, whatever, I think that got to him. So when you lose King and you lose JR, right?
Yeah, you're back up.
And you're the guy that everything's left to, because for a while they were rotating guys with Michael Cole, but the only stable was Michael Cole. I think there's a sense of importance that he had to throw upon himself, because for years he was always looked as a second act. I think there was a sense of ego that was built.
And I think that's why they rotated too much, because he kept like not letting them talk or not letting them do things. So they kept saying, no, I don't want to work with him. Until you got guys like Pat McAfee, Booker, and I'll be like, no, listen, shut up. It's gonna, like McAfee be telling him
all the time.
I love it. And some of the stuff that he says is not scripted. It's him knocking him.
Yep.
And then Michael Cole was on a podcast talking, and what did McAfee bring him up on the Teletron and said, "Why is this guy's button coming off?" Like, he was cutting. You can see Michael Cole like smiling, but he didn't want to smile. Like he was like, "Oh, this son of him." He don't care.
I mean,
but that pencil thing that Pat does, he flips it and catches it like this in the midair. I was like, "What the?" I leave it to the experts.
Yep.
But it's funny, whatever Pat does or says, like Pat jumped on the table, it was scripted, jumped on the table and started yeeting.
Yeah.
It was not scripted. That's why if you see Jay's face there, because he didn't expect him to do that. Now here come Michael Cole trying to like everything. And then he looks silly doing it, but it's part of the act, because he's supposed to act like
it ain't part of it.
But it ain't.
He's a white boy with no.
Yeah, he has. But Canada is known for the wow moments, you know?
Yeah.
I think Canada's pay-per-view sometimes is way better because it has so much wow moments.
I think that in general, right, a lot of these PPVs, PLEs now, right?
PLE.
A lot of the PLEs now that are done abroad, I think they are sparse, and these are the biggest names in industry. The fan, right? Like, okay, granted, you could do WrestleMania anywhere in the U.S., and they do.
Especially when it's not the time.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Normally, when we see WrestleMania, it's done in one of the major cities, in one of the major states that they always go to, right? So the fans, you're from other states for that PLE, but for the most part, it's a WWE audience. You get like in New York, I think WWE stops by here, Jersey, Long Island, or even Connecticut at 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Right? And when they come, it's usually for weeks, right? Especially when they come to like the New York area, because their base is in Connecticut. So they can get along for various things and the live events for those 2 to 3 weeks. So for us, we love going to a wrestling event, but I don't think that we'll ever say like, oh my God, yay, that someone who's in Canada, someone who's in Ireland or in Scotland when they just, UK, it blew up so quickly because those guys finally had internationally televised wrestling, right?
Yeah, once a month or once every.
When were they putting up big, major, huge events in Cardiff before that, right? They had whatever doing their thing, and then moving on to whatever the biggest nearby city for wrestling, right? A lot of these guys are going from there to go internationally to even Japan, which is a bigger market. Have this big thing promoted by WWE where the WWE wrestlers are the minor, you know what I'm saying? That was a big, it's a big thing. To have that whole entire thing done in Scott Clash of the Clashel, right?
Yeah,
like, those guys don't get WWE all the time. Honestly, there was a point, part of why there's been this big outreach was because of WWE, but Impact was going international.
Yeah.
They did a month or two in India, or two in Japan. They did
Well, that's why they figured these guys had more of an impact. Get it?
right. I mean, there was this big market for wanting these American names that everybody goes online to watch to be in, and that's when you start see WWE trying
Canada
to do
was
more
one
of
them.
this, right? And Canada's one of their places. Everybody has its own major wrestling organizations, right? I believe, who is it? That little Mexican girl.
Who, Perez?
Yes, that she does, right? That they'll flip the pop rock thing. That's the Ken Driver, made by a Canadian wrestler. The way what to Impact Wrestling, right? Like that was the originator of that finisher, right? And the thing that's done in various places.
Even though I don't like when she does it because
it doesn't look right at her size.
She's not strong enough to flip the person, so it looks weird.
It doesn't make any sense for a lot of the people they match her up with. There's certain times where it looks all right, but it just doesn't. I mean, it speaks to her athleticism to be able to do that revolution, right? But
I think that's probably why, not to cut you off, I think that's why last week in TNA she was fighting the new built girl. She bounced on the rope and then rolled and grabbed her. So the momentum took her.
Exactly.
But when she's just standing there and flip it doesn't make sense.
No,
do the rope thing, it looks better.
I think who else does it?
The pop thing?
It's the guy from Undisputed Era.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Adam Cole. Adam Cole does the same thing. It looks better when he does it, but there are times where it looks awkward because just like your frame doesn't look like you could do that. Like if he were to do that move to Big Show, you'd be like, really?
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like Perez versus most of the female wrestlers.
She's short and, you know.
Right. I like I said, if you find a way to make it make sense.
That rope thing, it looked real good.
It flowed.
Yeah. So,
but yeah.
Do that. But there's a lot of things that are going on. Let's say now it's going to fight in the cage match with CM Punk. Now this storyline is pretty good because in real life they didn't like each other.
That's true.
So
that's very true.
Now and that's what WWE does anyway. They make your real life into part of the storyline. And look, in reality, they didn't like each other.
At the end of the day, it's not about liking each other, but the ring with someone and you pull off an amazing match. I think there's a certain amount of respect that's built.
Oh no, they got respect.
That's and
but out of the ring, I don't think
they don't like each other. They do not like each other. They talk too much crap.
Yeah, and like he liked him before is just when he did that thing up to WWE. Steph, Edge, Undertaker, and John Cena. They one of those.
You don't.
This is a business. Yeah. If you screw with the business, they lose. And this, I think, what happened with Steph and CM Punk. He lost respect for him, and then to take light, from everybody else.
Right.
They don't like it. I think they're doing with the John Cena when he put himself into the elimination fight and said, well, other people just come back and get a championship. He was talking about. So in real life, he didn't not like it. So now they've just put it into the storyline, which it makes sense. But
I gotta admit, I was very happy with that elimination.
The male or the females?
The male match.
The male match. Yeah, it was good.
I was happy.
It was good. The whole elimination thing was pretty good. It was not. I'm not saying it was. What made it work was the old moments, like Randy, man,
Jade. That was hilarious because I knew that was gonna happen.
For what was it? The last time we saying who did it, I said it. It had to be one of them because they more jealous and they more get. I was thinking that Bella was the one that at first. Then I'm looking, I'm like, but then when she kept saying to her, "Oh, we need to get the belt back. We need to get the belt back." She wasn't worried about this girl trying to get her. She wanted to. That's when I was like, nope, it was her.
I mean, it's just for me. It's the girl done took the girl out, so she said, and then she's the one who loses the damn belt.
But she did it for her.
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 I knew she was going to say that.
She was trying to ride exactly what you're doing.
She was, and it was so funny because I was watching with my son and he's getting more into wrestling. And we were sitting there and he was like, is she going to continue with the political answers? and as soon as you see EST talking about, you're still not answering my question.
Yeah,
I was dying. Oh my God. Because she kept asking him, did you do it? She was like, no, but you see, if I did it for us. And no, you didn't. Because you were jealous how she moved away. And then she finally admits. Now, where does that leave EST when
we know where that
they're trying to go get the belt? But now you have Flair chasing the belt. You have, well, maybe Roxanne probably just going to keep, under Alexa. Or maybe Alexa Bliss comes back, comes and pushes for the belt. Or she might be bringing back, which supposed to have already been back and doing that good, the Wyatt family. Like, what's going on?
So that was one of my things, that the Wyatt family has this really weird storyline that's, for whatever reason, following the Miz. Okay,
that was stupid. And then I was dumb.
No, I was okay with that at first when it was coming.
I didn't like when they lost. That's the problem. Like, they're supposed to be this battle thing, and you had the Wyatts coming back from death and all this. Not even when the Wyatt family was out, they were losing.
Yes, they would.
No, not to people like this in the beginning.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, but the whole thing,
they didn't even show their dominance yet.
But this was the whole thing, right? A lot of the Wyatt storylines prior to this was them continuously taking out folks. The folks band together, and when they have the big blowout, they take out the Wyatts. Then the Wyatts disappear for a couple of weeks, come back, and they have a new target. I felt like that's what was happening here, and that's what happened. Okay, fine. That's been their bit for a while. They do creepy stuff for weeks. They terrorize you in matches along the way, but when you band together with your other teammates...
But then they stop right with Cross. Like, why?
And
is that his name now?
Cross.
Is it still Cross? Okay. Because I don't even know his name no more because he's irrelevant.
Yeah. And I think he's one of the most misused wrestlers, especially after a great run in Impact.
Bring your wife once in a while. I don't mind that,
But no, like, you should be nicer. He one of y'all.
Yeah, I know. He's Latino. but he is underrated, though.
He's underrated, underutilized. He should have definitely had a run for a major title and then been left in that contention race. I don't even see him in contention for the Intercontinental or United States Championship. He's just constantly like, I'm going to mess with you and your time is out.
Yeah, because I used to love that when he put the clock. You knew it was... So
he had a better run on NXT.
With that said, I was thinking, like, okay, when they kept bringing the Wyatts and everything, and at first I thought it was the Wyatt 6. I didn't know it was sick. Like, things like this. Sick,
it's
whatever.
It's 6.
Yeah.
It is 6.
But then I was like, that would have been cool if the one that was really in charge with them was Cross.
That would have been interesting.
Because Cross was a type of demon type of guy,
Right.
Like, he'll put the clock and be like...
Right.
And that would have been nice. Like, he would have came out with, instead of with the Latin, you see a clock there.
Right.
Like, they were giving hints. But they just dropped that story and they went somewhere else, and now they don't even know where to go because of Bo doesn't... Bo wanted to do it, but I think it was too much mentally for him. I think when they really put him as the uncle, he started seeing his brother and something like that, because they said they stopped it because created differences. And I'm thinking because he probably couldn't handle the pressure of his brother.
That's just a lot to live up to.
Yeah, and not only that, you want to leave your brother up, but then at the same time, it's too much memories.
Right.
Like, you're not letting it, go.
It may not enough time passed for him to do something like that. I know you.
But they got Alexa Bliss now.
and so you could keep that alive. I thought, she was gonna win the chamber.
That's what I thought.
I was low key hoping that she would win. There's nothing against Bianca.
I thought.
I'm so happy with Bianca winning because I am kind of tired of her having to carry other people. Even if it's still a championship, I'm kind of tired of her having to carry it. She is definitely a singles wrestler for me.
But I like the fact that they let her win because Flair came, who took Flair's belt one time. So that 2 matches are going to come again.
But for me, I would have really wanted Bliss to win the title and turn it for Bray.
Yeah, because I thought Cross was going to come out. I actually said, I was like, I wonder if Cross would come out and cheat her and make her win, and then Alyssa Bliss is just going to be like, what's going on? But then they come together and they turn, and now the Wyatt family. Now that would have been such of an impact.
Now you tell me why that wouldn't happen.
No,
I know the answer to this.
What you got?
He's married. You ain't bringing it around lots of blessings.
No, man.
I would not let my man around like this. She's fine.
She's too fine.
She's fine.
Too fine. It's either her. They put up Liv and Alexa Bliss. Which one you would take? Booty wise, I'm gonna have to go with Liv.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going with Alexa every time. However, I will say this. I felt like WWE tried to make Liv a replacement for Alexa.
And I thought that's why they were going to do a match.
I kind of want them to have a match. Because
even the Royal Rumble, when they got together, I was like, and nothing. At least a tag team or something. You know what I mean? Like
I like both of them. I just felt that Liv should have got a pop while Alexa was there. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt she was underutilized, and I'm like, we can make her the replacement. And I don't think she's been treated fairly in that regard. So maybe it might be best if they're branded on different shows for a while. Then they can get into it.
Do a match. Do a match before that. Whoever loses this has to go to the other side.
Okay, I'll take that.
You know what I mean? Which they consider SmackDown the second. Well, Liv is in SmackDown,
even though now they have a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling about that 3-hour SmackDown?
I don't know. It's 3 hours of the same people.
Facts.
Like, if you're going to do an extra hour, throw in some new people.
You added an extra hour just to stretch out Jey Uso's intro, bro.
That took half of the show.
You know what's crazy?
And now he's talking about another one? Another one.
Right.
Another one? All right. Let's go. And come on, man.
What kills me is I remember always hearing Jey Uso's theme come into the ring. It was after he wins at the Royal Rumble, right? They played that song for like the next 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm like, those are the only words for real?
Yeah, that's the only words. I'm about to get them.
It's just me, yo. I was like, oh my God.
But it's catchy, though. It's catchy.
It's catchy for a minute.
But you know how funny it is? Like, I was thinking the other day, that song is so catchy, but it's not as catchy as because
when Fandango came back to NXT, bro.
No, even Congress was doing it, the presidents were doing it. Everybody was like, so it wasn't as catchy as that, but hey.
I don't know if it's as catchy as whoa. Because between Seth and between Cody, the woes hit harder than the yeets.
Right, calm it down. Who got the best intro song? Not the best intros because they long.
Yeah.
But who got the most iconic? We got Cody with Whoa, and then you got
Seth the
Whoa. So, and then you have the Yeet.
Well, here's the thing. I think the most iconic theme song is older than all of them.
Randy Orton.
Yeah. Right. See, I didn't have to say it.
Randy Orton.
You know that. You have, because he has 2 separate songs that everyone remembers that are legitimate, just rock music. The only thing that you can say might even be more legendary is a song that's not even used anymore, and that's by Time Is Now.
Yeah.
That's it. So John Cena's Time Is Up, because that was on the radio. big.
Yeah. That was his one of his albums.
Yeah, his actual rap album.
Yep.
You know.
And speaking of theme songs, did anybody catch the Rock's theme song when he came in? They had 2 theme songs inside. His old one, you know, when you smell what the Rock is cooking, and then it went boom, to that what was that City Satellite one that used to come in, and then at the end it was his last song. So he put all his song mixes in there
because now he's the final boss.
And that's why he's trying to say,
he's not the Brahma Bull no more.
Remember who I was.
Yep.
But let us know who you have as the best intro music there. And don't no one put Undertaker, please, because that's to me wasn't really a song.
Undertaker did have a song when he was
badass. Yeah. Okay.
Now peace out. Hands out. Back up. When Fred Durst had his thing in WWE, I loved it. When they performed at Mania,
Yep. So
I mess with that.
Well, who got the favorite one? And that everybody's singing now, especially who did it? Who was it that did it? Canada? No, not Canada. It was overseas.
When with the Seth Rollins one.
That everybody started singing, even Randy Orton's song, and
that was. I believe that was in Scotland. I think that was Scotland that killed that because they were like, "Yo, we've never." They knew they were singing.
Randy was like
the hell?
And ever since then, now the Americans want to do it too.
But
it's nice.
Yeah, I think that was Scotland. That's what I'm saying. That fandom over there, when you're deprived of something for so long and finally get it, it's either gonna slap or it's gonna suck. And I think when WWE goes abroad, they give you everything because they're driven by the fans, right? It's like most comedians will tell you that some of the best things they've ever done were smaller rooms because there was just that much more of a connection with the people and whatever. Fans can really power a performance, right? And that's because they give motivation to the person on stage to do their best.
Yep.
Those foreign audiences never get to see these guys, right? They get that 1 week and they may never get a chance to see them again because you know damn well if it's a week, them prices ain't cheap, right? So they go and they see them, they're going to give them everything they got to get everything they can out of them. And I mean, as I said, we love them here in the United States, but we get them all the time. I don't think we can appreciate them to the same degree. You know, I give my respect to those foreign audiences, and you see from the wrestlers. And
now everybody wants to see the
because
songs,
I honestly think the wrestlers do perform better when we get those foreign PLEs. So those are the ones where we come back and we're like, you know, some of those matches, and they're usually from the performers that we're always mid-card about. But the big matches, fire. And I even the girls' elimination chamber this year was one of the better ones I've seen this entire time. They killed it.
It was very, very good. Well thought.
But the guys was just another level. Yeah. Like that was one of the best elimination chambers of all time. I mean, you see a lot of the greats in that match as well.
And every single one of them, even if you like them or don't, did well. Because who's the only youngest one there that?
Shoot, the youngest one there?
Like in wrestling is this guy, Logan is the youngest.
Yeah,
right?
Logan would be the youngest. Like
2 years, 2 or 3 years, maybe.
I think it's 4 now.
4, and I tell you, no matter how much you hate him, and
he can perform.
He is a performer, and I like it. He's taking his chances. He said now that he's full time, he's learning more from like Rey Mysterio and all of them. And he's like, he never knew how much hard work it was, but he, especially when he